So Jim, let's talk a little bit about 910. You've been part of the 910 family for a lot of years, still on the air with us to this day. Can you share with me some of your favorite memories of the old Q91 910 AM days here? Because you've been with us for a while.
Jason, going back, it will be 66 years, November 1st, that 910 went on the air with a 1,000-watt signal and a little transmitter just south of Drumheller. And how radio has changed. One of the things that comes to mind personally, I had the first rock and roll show, and it was considered to be so wild that they took me off the air, and there was no station in Alberta that had the rock and roll. My show was called Jim's Joint, and at 7 o'clock every Saturday night, the 5 lines would light up until 1 in the morning, and it was, I guess you could say, quite popular, but the powers that be at CJDB said, no, this is way out of step. People don't like rock and roll, and we shouldn't be playing it. And now rock and roll is very norm.
Yeah, well, I play it every day, man. Exactly. Yeah. That's interesting. I never knew that about you. That's cool.
Yeah. But it in those days, when I think of it, a commercial had to be read live because there was no technology other than that, except the reel-to-reel tapes, and that was too onerous on the staff. So everything was live, and I guess one could say in those days, when you turned the microphone on, you didn't really know what you were going to say, but you started to talk, and it was, I guess, good radio because people were listening to find out what we're going to say. We didn't know what we were going to say ourselves. Another good memory I had, we weren't on the air for very long, and the Prime Minister of Canada, John Diefenbaker, invited me as the news director to join him on his train trip. And so I went on the train with the Prime Minister and his wife, and only last week I went back to see that rail car, which is at Mossley and has been turned into a restaurant. So that was a fond memory.
That's cool. I never knew that about you either. Well, so you've seen a lot of changes in the technology throughout the years, Jim, and a lot of changes in how radio is presented to the public. And it's going to be different, of course, with FM here in Drumheller on the countryside. But the biggest thing is to keep it local.
Yes, and that was a great feature of just a 1,000-watt station, and we emphasized the local so much. It was something that we had to practice and do. And on the sports side, the very same thing. If there's any play-by-play, I remember not knowing anything about basketball, but I had to go to Hannah to do a play-by-play of high school basketball, and that was something brand new for me. And then, of course, any kind of hockey or any sports, basically local, it went on the air.
And that's what, that's how the industry's changed quite a bit because, you still have your play-by-play hockey and stuff like that, but it was different back in the day. So some of the people that you got to meet through working at the radio station, who are some of the people that you'll never forget?
Oh, well, on the music side, we had, all the major country western stars. It was tradition that you go in the dressing room with them and talk to them, and quite a few in those days would even come to Drumheller, but the majority were in Calgary or Red Deer, and that was something I always remembered. And it was, I guess you could say, more one-on-one. In those days, radio was extremely competitive because it was on the AM side, and stations reaching far and wide, and they would come into your market, and you try to go into their market. And that happened when the radio station went to 50,000 watts. By the way, when it went to 50,000 watts, it was AM stereo. And I don't know if too many people had AM stereo receivers, but that was what was put in place when the power increase took place.
Well, and that's the funny thing, because the sign still says Q91 AM stereo out in Strathmore, which is awesome.
Yeah, still there.
Exactly. I think Rick's got to try to grab that and actually keep it in his collection. We'll see. But
yeah, some of the old memories.
Exactly right. I think that should cover anything. Anything else you want to share, Jim?
Not that I can think of offhand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here's one for you. You know, of course, being part of the Allen Cup champion Drumheller Miners and GM play-by-play back in those days. You know what? That's kind of the nostalgia with AM. A lot of people would listen to hockey sports on AM radio, and doing play-by-play on AM. There's just nostalgia with it.
Yes, I remember people calling in from British Columbia. They would drive their car up, and they said the top of a mountain to pick up the signal when the Miners played. It was an era of hockey where the majority of players could have played pro hockey, but if they had a good job, they would financially do better staying at home and pursuing their job opportunities and make a little money on the side. So I remember our goaltender, Al Rollins, who was a winner of the Hart and Vezina trophies, stating that the Drumheller Miners of that day would have finished fourth in the NHL when the NHL went to 12 teams. So we really didn't know how good a team we had in Drumheller.
Cool.